Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. Sorry, I'm late. What is new, really? I think it will be more surprising if I'm on time. Let me know if y'all can hear me. I appreciate you, ACO 420, for being up late at night. This is going to be interesting. To be honest, I think this will be one of the first ones where we all don't agree. I think with AOC, we all didn't agree either about the Met Gala, and we all are not going to agree about this, and that's totally fine. However, as long as everybody is polite, then it's fine. So I hope everyone has their wine, and we're going to warm up into it before we get into the mess. Hi, AC. All right. So this is our agenda for the evening. We are first going to start with actually not the AKA an insecure HBO drama. We're going to do a little housekeeping because I forget at the end to tell you all the things that I meant to tell you. And then we're going to talk about Helena Hutchins, the Helena Hutchins tragedy with Alec Baldwin, and specifically about film sets, unions, and raggedy workplaces a little bit. And then we're going to talk about nepotism and how nepotism played a role there. And then we're going to get into the AKA an insecure trademark issue. Emphasis on the trademark issue and the clearance issues. So we're going to get into that. Okay. And I said emphasis on that because we will talk a little bit on, whether or not people should be upset, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. So just going to let y'all know we're going to talk about the legal issues. All right. Cool. So again, I was going to skip past that. Let me leave this here so I remember to do the housekeeping. What was the housekeeping? Oh, on before I forget myself, on Sunday, we are going to do a Patreon live for every tier. Well, not every tier. We're going to do Rosé, Sancerre, Sauvignon Blanc, and and champagne. So we're going to do a live for all those tiers. We're going to add a tier, and we're going to do it on The Crown, specifically The Crown and Prince Andrew and his lawsuit that has to do a little bit with Ghislaine Maxwell, if y'all know what I'm saying. Specifically, it's going to be on Patreon for a few reasons. The number one being, if I were to do that case, if you look up what that case is on YouTube, it would get snatched down with a quickness because what he allegedly did is highly inappropriate and criminal, but instead he is being sued for it. So we're going to talk about that on Patreon on Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. So there's housekeeping number one. Housekeeping number two, what was it? I should have wrote this out for myself because I forgot. I owe y'all some videos. I'll remember by the end, but that was the main one for Patreon. Okay, great. And if you haven't checked out Patreon, we're doing Colonizer Exposed, that series solely on Patreon right now. So you should check it out. And there are a lot of new patrons. So happy to see y'all. So let's hop into the Helena Hutchins tragedy. So if you're not familiar, which many people that don't work in the industry were not familiar, this is Helena Hutchins. Unfortunately, she was killed last week in a tragic accident where Alec Baldwin shot what he thought was an empty gun on a set, which tragically killed her. So I think it's important to first honor the memory. This is a wife, a mother, someone who was a great cinematographer, had a life that was tragically cut short. So first and foremost, my condolences to her family. And this is Alec Baldwin. There are a lot of pictures surfacing. I didn't want to use a picture, to be honest. I get why some people are using it. It's so hurtful. It's such a hurtful situation. He accidentally shot somebody. He's obviously in shock. So he put out a tweet afterwards that I'm sure his PR person put out, saying that he was, very shocked and very hurt and speaking to her husband, etc. What I specifically want to talk about is the legalities around all of this, because this actually, from what I'm reading and from who I've talked to, because I've had friends that work in production, and specifically have worked in production in New Mexico, I had a lot of questions. I've never been on a set, so I had a lot of questions. But as a lawyer, obviously, there are labor unions, there is OSHA to make sure that you are safe at work, that you are in a safe workplace. And there seem to be a lot of things particularly wrong with this production. So thought we would spend some time talking about this. And yes. Okay, so first and foremost, actually, y'all know I cannot see. So hold on, let me pull up my side so I can see these things. So not every industry in the US, sadly, does not have a labor union. However, one of the industries that is very unionized is the entertainment industry, specifically for anybody that works in production as well as the actors. The people that work in corporate, we have no union. When I used to work in entertainment, is dog eat dog. They just throw you to the wolves. However, SAG-AFTRA is the largest union, and that's for actors, actresses. And that helps people. The whole purpose of a union, let's read the definition for a labor union: an organized association of workers, often in a trade or profession, formed to protect and further their rights and interests. Keyword on protect and further rights and interests. Specifically, the various unions that make up the production workers union, one of their main goals is to make sure people have safe production sets. Specifically, if you're dealing with firearms, we're going to get specifically into the firearm part, because in doing like my research by asking around of people I know, I learned a lot of things that, to be honest, I didn't know, and I think that most people don't know. So we'll get into that in a minute. But the labor unions also, they vet people. So if you belong to the union, you have to meet a certain amount of qualifications. So for example, if you are the armorer we're specifically going to talk about, the armorer is the person that handles the guns, handles the props. They're in charge of making sure everything's okay. To be a part of the labor union as an armorer, you have to meet a certain criteria. So the union basically is going to vouch for you and say, if I was an armorer, say, hey, Stephanie's been doing this for 20 years. I know Stephanie knows how to load a gun, handle a gun, all that. I do not. This is just an example. However, so what is very sad, to be honest about this specific case, we are likely 100% going to see a lawsuit. I think there actually might be criminal charges filed because there is gross negligence so far that the police are saying, and then also that different outlets are reporting on. So specifically, earlier that day, they had a walkout on the Rust set where a few, actually a decent amount of their crew complained about the working conditions, complained that they felt unsafe, complained, allegedly a few of them complained specifically about the armorer, which is the person in charge of the guns. And the Los Angeles Times actually reported that half a dozen camera operations and their assistants walked off the set in protest of tiring working conditions, long hours, and long commutes. And the reason why the long hours and the long commutes is noted, because if you're on set with live ammunition, you can't be half asleep. Like, bad things will happen. Also, why is there live ammunition on set? This was my number one question. I was of the impression, which I saw other people asking this, I think other people are of that impression as well, that we're in the 21st century and that we're using fake guns. Apparently not. Apparently, and I will say, like, speak for US production because I only asked US people. Apparently in the US, the goal is to make everything look as real as possible, so they use real guns. Now, I don't know why, when in post-production, you can just edit that in. I mean, my editing skills couldn't do that because my editing skills are a little sketchy at best. However, the feedback I got, the more I asked questions, was, oh, sometimes in post-production they mess it up. It doesn't look as good. So they like everything to look as real as possible, including the gun. So these are real guns. I agree with Nye here that it's unacceptable. I don't think that that's necessary. I'm also not a qualified person to give that opinion on whether something has to look super real. To be honest, it could be a toy gun. It would look the same to me. I don't know. But I think that that is like the first thing as a society we should look into. Like, why are people playing around with AK-47s on a film? That is unnecessary in itself. And then when they have these real guns, what they usually do is they put blanks in them. However, you can still harm yourself, seriously harm yourself with a blank. A blank is like a plastic bullet. People have unfortunately killed themselves with blanks before. So it's not like a blank is foolproof. What happened, unfortunately, in this incident and in this tragedy was that the assistant director passed Alec Baldwin the gun. He said that the gun was cold, as in there are not live rounds in this gun. He said he was told by the armorer, that's the person handling the guns, we're going to specifically get into her in a second, that she told him that it was cold. So it's he said, she said, this said. All of this, from my research, could have been avoided had the production company itself had proper procedures. There are multiple things wrong. One being that it doesn't seem there were proper procedures. A week prior to this happening, there was another incident where live rounds went off, but fortunately nobody was hurt. So this is not the first time in this specific production that people are alleging, hey, guns have been going off, and obviously something awful was going to happen. And this is very unfortunate. This woman lost her life because essentially what it seems to be gross negligence. So let's go to the next slide. So let's get into the armor. So the armor is the person, and I'm just going to go through this, and then we'll go through the comments, like after we go through this segment, and then we'll get to the AKA part. So I've noticed, like, if I do both child, then we're going to go off into a tangent. So the armorer is the person that is in charge of the guns. They're in charge of like, armory, which is like any type of weaponry, basically. And they're supposed to be very trained. Usually these people have 10, 20, 30 years of experience. This is a live gun. Why it's live, again, is beyond me. I don't agree with that. However, what is specific to this case, and it's going to essentially turn to a case, so we're just going to say it that way. What is specific to this tragedy is that there are numerous reports afterwards that the Russ armorer mishandled guns on a previous film with Nicolas Cage, that crew members reported her previously, that she was very experienced, that during the filmmaking, numerous people apparently complained about her. For context, the person we were talking about is 24 years old. This is only the third film that they've made. And the reason why I'm bringing this up, because you all noticed in the beginning, it said nepotism is one of the things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how the hell she even got this job, because I think it's important to note, because entertainment, nepotism is rampant and nepotism causes problems. And in this incident has caused a gross problem that cannot be reversed. So we're going to get into that. What I find unacceptable is, we have talked numerous times about having a safe work environment from a corporate standpoint. When you're talking about a film set, not everybody on film set is millionaires, Alec Baldwin making a lot of money. A lot of people truly love films. They work on film set. They are production assistants. They are showrunners assistants. They are making like 40, 50K, if that, some people, but that's what they love to do. They make their whole livelihood out of that. I think that's important to put into context, because I think when people see like the idea of production, like, oh, this is great, this is a glamorous job. This is a physically grueling job that these people have. You need to have somebody with experience if you're handling guns. Also, just it's that one person's job. So generally speaking, the person who's the head of armory, they'll have one or two assistants under them, and they'll basically delegate to that person, like, hey, you do this, but it is their responsibility to do the final check. In this, I was looking through the police report. I'm not sure if this person had anybody reporting to them. So I'm not sure if they had assistants. I realized half my head was not in the thing. Hold on. Oh, God. I'm not sure about that. However, you cannot accept jobs when you don't have the qualifications. So we're going to get to that. I'm going to read one comment really quick from Spicing Ice, because this is a good point when we brought up unions. This is exactly what ITSE, which is one of the entertainment labor unions, has been complaining about: crews being made to work on sets that aren't following protocol, and they're being underpaid on top of the unsafe conditions, which is correct. One of the complaints that the crew members that walked out said that they had not even been paid. So not only did they allege that they were getting treated poorly, they are working these long hours, they also allege like, hey, I have not seen a check. So what is the purpose? New Mexico, by the way, is a beautiful place, but from my understanding, not, maybe not like the most happy place. So what is the purpose of them leaving their life in New York and LA to go work on this set when they're not getting paid, allegedly, getting treated badly, and having to deal with someone that they've complained about over and over and over again? All right. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. So this is Hannah Reed, and this is her father, Thel Reed. So Hannah Reed is a 24-year-old armorer who was the armorer on the Russ set, who was basically in charge of the guns, who now the police report basically said they're doing a full investigation. If I were to say someone were going to get charged, it would likely be her. Her father is Thel Reed. He is, I believe, 78 years old. I'm only mentioning his age for one specific reason, is that he has decades of experience. So he has decades of experience being an armorer. He also is a stuntman and did other things, to which he's actually very well known and very well regarded in the industry. He helped his daughter get this job. And not to be harsh, but let's look at the reality of life. Nepotism means that you think that your offspring is the best thing since sliced bread. So screw the people that worked hard, because your offspring deserves that spot. 3 movies in does not make an armorer. 3 movies in does not make somebody qualified to handle live ammunition and to be coordinating people. I'm going to read a Facebook post from one of the crew members on set who was good friends with Halima, and his recounting of the incident. I think that's very important. I think I see a lot of people online. I think most people are like very sympathetic towards Alec Baldwin. It is the sad truth that oftentimes children of wealthy people in general, hire a lawyer, you never hear anything that happened to it, etc. Child, y'all are gonna like, if y'all talk about my bags one more freaking time, I'm just gonna block you. Like, bye, Deontay, get a life. Um, People, they generally speaking, like, not to be like that dismal person, there are numerous people that have accidentally and unfortunately killed other people and no had no consequences. For example, Laura Bush has a DUI and someone has died. Nothing happened. Dick Cheney shot someone in the face when he was vice president. Nothing happened. I don't think that this is appropriate, A, first of all. Second of all, I think people need to really start looking into why does society protect certain people, which we talked about in the Elizabeth Holmes case as well. All right. See, this is why I don't look. Hi, Opulence Prime. I was like, this is why I don't look at the comments while I'm doing it because I'm like, somebody just could say something dumb. They just can't help themselves. All right. So let me actually, y'all can't see that. Let me make this bigger. Okay. So this is from, hopefully I'm saying his name right, Sergei Svetnov. And he basically, sorry. So Sergei Svetnov, he worked on the set of Rust and basically, oh, what is this? Hold on. I'm like looking at the comments one. Let me look at them afterwards, shall. He basically did a recounting of what happened. And I think it's important to read it from somebody who was on set and like they're important. All right. I mean, and they're like recounting of it since he has the experience of someone that is like a crew member. Okay, so my version of, I think he meant right version. My version of the Rust tragedy, and I won't read the whole thing because it's like a little bit long. So I have received hundreds of calls, text messages, letters with words of support and condolences since the day of the tragedy with Helena Hutchins, and I'm very grateful to everyone. And they were very close friends. So here we go. I want to tell my opinion on why this happened. I think I have the right to do it. It's the fault of negligence and unprofessionalism. The negligence from the person. So he was the first person, just to know, he was the first person that specifically said, hey, it's her. He like didn't say her name, but he basically called her out. And then I think they would have investigated her anyway. Like this is literally her job, but he specifically called it out. The negligence from the person who was supposed to check the weapon on the site did not do this. The person who had to announce that the loaded gun was on the site did not do this. The person who should have checked this weapon before bringing it to the set did not do it. And the death of the human is the result. I'm sure that we had the professionals in every department but one, the department that was responsible for the weapons. There is no way a 24-year-old woman, I don't know why he put the woman pregnant, but anyways, can be professional with armory. There is no way that her more or less the same age friend from school, neighborhood, Instagram, or God knows where else can be a professional in this field. So I think there he was insinuating that whoever her assistant is her friend, which that's also problematic. Y'all can't play around with guns. Professionals are people who have spent years on sets, people who know this job from A to Z. These are the people who have the safety on set and the levels of reflexes. They do not need to be told to put the sandbag on a tripod. So this is very specific. Fix the ladder on the stage to fence off the explosion site. So he has very specific qualms. They have it in their blood. I'm calling out to the producers. We have a fascinating and amazing job, but it's also dangerous. We film in the mountains, in the open water, underwater. We have explosions, shooting guns, car crashes, electricity, after all, and much more. To save a dime sometimes, so now we're getting to the reasoning. To save a dime sometimes, you hire people who are not fully qualified for the complicated and dangerous job, and you risk the lives of the other people who are close in your lives as well. I understand that you always fight for the budget, but you cannot allow this to happen. There should always be at least one professional in each department who knows the job. It's an absolute must to avoid such a tragedy, like the tragedy with Helena. I do not wish anyone to go through what I went through, what her husband, Matt Hutchins, and her son, Andros, went through, and the actor Alec Baldwin, who has been handed a gun on set. He has to live with the thought that he took the life of a human because of unprofessional people. Dear producers, by hiring professionals, you are buying peace of mind for yourself and the people around you. It is true that the professionals can cost a little more and sometimes can be a little bit more demanding, but it is worth it. No penny saved is worth the life of a person. So I think that is very important. Also, I appreciate y'all for being so nice in the comments. I got mad for like a second that person made that comment, and then I was like, gonna come out of my face. Yes, there are bags under my eyes. We have talked about this already. Y'all got to get off Instagram and looking at filter all day. So yes, so I think I do have Jace is usually here, and then like I've tried to add other people, but it won't add them. But I'll add you later, 7, 8, and then there's a few of you. I'll try to add y'all again. But thank you, I appreciate it. I more so get annoyed because then they ruin my train of thought. But I appreciate y'all. Y'all are so kind. Okay. So yes, so this is a picture of Serge and Serge. I'm saying that wrong. I'm sorry. And Helena. And I think it's important to note because he said a few things that I think should be discussed, particularly in the industry. The entertainment industry, I have told y'all this a million times, is a lot of smoke and mirrors, is a lot of nickel and diming a lot of people. So a few people are rich. So a few people can pretend to be rich, and then a few people are actually rich. The people that do all of the work get paid very little. And to cut costs even more, they do things like this. A 24-year-old, again, should not be handling guns. A 24-year-old, from what he's insinuating, should not be hiring their friend to play with guns with them when other people are involved. If you want to do stupid things by yourself, I mean, you shouldn't do that, but whatever. So we will see where this case goes. It is very unfortunate, sadly. And yeah, on that note, I will do something a little, less, I would say, we'll do something interesting but less life-threatening in talking about this conversation. So before we get into the AKA and insecure issue, let's see. Oh, thank you, Carl. Let me go through some of the comments to see what y'all are saying, because I know some of y'all also work in the industry as well. So love to have everyone's insight. Okay. Yes, I was late. Sorry, y'all. Hey, Tiffany. Okay. All right. I'm just going to go through these. Like, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to see if there are any. Yeah, so to Hugh McDonald's point, there are all kind of rules about how long people can work, travel times, hot meals, etc. Correct. Because again, you have people doing a dangerous job. Like I would say outside perception, including mine, because I've never worked on a set, is it looks so fun. Seems like a great thing. But you have people doing dangerous things in a controlled environment. That's all a set with gun is. Dangerous things in what is supposed to be a very controlled environment. And when it's not, unfortunately, these things happen. For example, I believe in the early 90s, Bruce Lee's son accidentally, I'm not sure if he shot himself or someone shot him on set and he died. All right. And this is a good question. Why was live ammo anywhere near this set? Completely agree. I'm curious about that as well. All right. To Birdie Will's point, you can't make realistic fake guns. For those of you that are joining, we talked about in the beginning, my first assumption and thought was when I asked my friends who work in production, I thought all of the guns were fake, to which they said everything has to look as realistic as possible, and most of the guns in US sets are real, which is crazy. Yes, thank you, Sky Bloom. Don't forget to like the video. All right. Type effectiveness. Why were the staff put in unfavorable conditions? To be honest, probably money. A lot of these production companies will nickel and dime the budget. They don't make any money until they sell the movie or they sell the show. Like they are fronting the whole cost in the beginning, usually, depending on what the production company is. Okay. So to Lydia's point, Ava DuVernay talked about this. She said the process is so delicate. That is why I think she talked about Ava DuVernay. Unless there's another one. Talked about this. She said the process is so delicate that there's no way this should have happened. Also, the director is supposed to check the gun. She said it's also no reason to use a real gun. I completely agree. To be honest, I don't understand. And to Jack's point, and then we'll go to the next part. All right, Hollywood can film Avatar, which is completely CGI, yet they can't generate a barrel flash in post-production. And that's the point. Clearly, the editing can be done, so there really is no need, in a logical person's opinion, as to why you need to use real guns. All right, so let's get to the point of why y'all clicked on this video, which was let's talk about AKA Insecure. So let me tell y'all my biases from the beginning, and then we'll get into my unbiased opinion. But I have to be honest and transparent. Insecure is one of my favorite shows. first and foremost. I'll just be honest about it. I love that show. I feel like Insecure is a love letter to Black women, particularly to Black women that, went to college, graduated college, and realized I have been bamboozled. Like, what is this? This is not the life I was promised. I love Insecure. I think Issa Rae is awesome. It is my favorite show out on television, besides like travel shows. Okay, so that's there. And yeah, let's hop into it. Now, don't go arguing with each other about things. Now, the issue in question is maybe like 20 seconds, 30 seconds max. I don't think it's more than 20 seconds, 30 seconds. If it's longer, you can let me know, fine. Of this little snippet that you see here of the actress Amanda Seales, who plays Tiffany Dubois. And Tiffany Dubois is a fictional character, and said fictional character in the show Insecure is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, which is a sorority. Sorry, I just stopped looking at their comments. Now that the person said that, I'm like, which is a member of the Divine Nine sorority, which are historically Black sororities and fraternities. For those of you that are familiar. Also, I'm just going to say it now. This is not particularly a conversation for mixed company. So I'm just going to put that out there. This is more of like, if you have questions, maybe ask them later. So my first assumption, this is season 5. For a little bit of background, let's go backwards actually. A little bit of background about Tiffany wearing the AKA letters and this jacket particularly, and the colors. This has been going on for 5 years. This is the 5th season of this show. They have dressed her to be this character multiple times. Also, Molly is a fake character as well. Molly is also an AKA, which Alpha Kappa Alpha, AKA, in the show. No one has brought that up for some reason right now. People are only bringing up Amanda Seales. Amanda Seales is the actress that plays Tiffany Dubois. Okay, so what is the issue if you're a little bit confused? Because I know like not all of our audience is in America, which is great, which makes me happy. Amanda Seales, the actual human being, the person living and breathing, is not a member of this sorority. It is inappropriate, objectively. It is inappropriate for someone who is not a member of the sorority to wear the sorority letters, their paraphernalia, etc. Okay. However, the character is not real. It's not a real person doing this. Also, there are 2 of them. Since season 1 of Insecure, Molly, which is again another fake character, has been drinking out of an AKA cup. She is wearing the paraphernalia. It is everywhere. There are multiple people on that show that are in fraternities and sororities that in real life, the actual person does not belong to that affiliation. Okay. After this episode came on, a lot of people had things to say on the Twitter. Now, I'm just going to get into all of the background first before we get into legal part, because the background has to be stated. Now, when it went on the Twitter, which I only pulled this because this made me laugh, that Black Twitter is now a mainstream term that is on yahoo.com. A lot of people that belong to this organization and not, okay, so I'm going to get there because that's how my third world spirit feels. So again, this is a very American issue. So before we get into this is a very American issue. So I feel like to a non-American person, it's going to be very, but why? Like, what is the issue? So I think that thank you Type Effective for putting that out there. And we're going to get into that. A lot of people in the sorority reacted and said they found it grossly inappropriate. However, I think maybe not equally, because people like to hear the most outlandish things. Under Amanda Seales, she then had to make a few statements on her Instagram, which this is not about her, in my opinion. People have made this about her. The legality is not about her. People have made it about her, so I chose not to include like a lot of include any really of the videos she posted, because I think people need to stop making it so personal. People started personally attacking her, saying like, you cannot wear our letters. You do not belong to this organization. Under her post, I did see many women from the organization say, I know it is just a character. It is fine. So I would like to say that first and foremost, that yes, it is not everybody in this organization was upset. However, there was enough people upset. Okay. To which the point, the showrunner, so the showrunner is the person who basically runs the whole show. They are second only to the director. The showrunner is Prentice Penny, and the director is Melina I don't know how to say her last name, Malukas, I think so, is Melina Malukas. I'm probably saying that wrong, so I'm sorry. They then issued these quote unquote statements on social media because it's again in the state in social media. I don't know who keeps calling me. So this is Prentice Pennies. So Amanda Seals a character on a TV show, not a real AKA. Molly, and again to his point, Molly has been drinking out of an AKA mug since season 1 in 2016. Obviously, he's very, you know what? Kudos to this man for this very curt, direct, I put my periods where I put my periods. Masukas, thank you, Bree. I was like, I'm not saying this right. I was missing some syllables. Not one comment. We, capital letters, believe we are representing the organization in a positive light. Tiffany, so Tiffany again is the character, is a college educated, married, a good mom, a full career. Sounds like a lot of AKAs. I know she doesn't deserve this at all. I'll take those calls. People were calling her. People are literally harassing her. And if you are actually harassing Amanda Seals, like, you need to stop. That's foolishness. So now, the director, Miss Masukas, said, not y'all coming for anyone else for my directorial decisions. Amanda Seals is an actress who's beautifully embodies a character. We costume her appropriately. That's how film and TV work. So if you want to come for anyone, I'll take it. Just doing my job, representing us and trying to do it authentically. So, all right. Now, I'm going to go through all this before I get into the comments because I feel like get into the comments, commotion going to happen, and then we're never going to get to the actual legal part. This at this point is just noise. It's just people's opinions. Like, this is from maybe like 2 days ago before any actual legal mentioning. Now, full transparency on my end, I assume, okay, people cause a ruckus. However, if this is in an HBO show, Insecure premieres on HBO home box office, enough money, the same entity that produces Game of Thrones. HBO makes billions of dollars every year. My automatic assumption was, they must have cleared this. Business affairs. Business affairs is what they call the legal teams in entertainment, particularly TV, film, and music. They call them business affairs. I used to work business affairs in sports. They call it in sports too. Sometimes it's weird. So I was like, business affairs must have cleared this with the AK organization. I couldn't fathom that HBO, a reputable name brand company, wouldn't clear it. Well, much to my shock as an attorney, to be honest, and a lot of other people, apparently and allegedly they did not. So before we get into what Twitter said, because now I've skipped ahead, this message was sent out to members of AKA, according to a few publications. To be honest, I haven't seen it verified, so we'll say allegedly, because I don't exactly know who sent it. From one of the directors of AKA, and it states, Dear Sorors, we were made aware of the unauthorized, so they're claiming it's unauthorized use of our brand on the HBO show Insecure early yesterday morning, Monday, October 25th, 2021, and are taking steps to protect our brand. Please allow the corporate office to handle this matter. For context, all sororities and fraternities, they are businesses, so they have corporate offices. They make money. We all have a duty to protect our brand. You can do your part by refraining from engaging with anyone involved with the show or with anyone, including other sorors, on social media about this matter. Thank you for your continued assistance and cooperation. So the slight shade and rebukement really got me. Oh, thank you, Grace. So to Grace's point, and to my utter shock, to be honest, I'm surprised HBO didn't get clearance for this. SMH, Amanda didn't deserve that dragging. HBO did. Exactly. If you are going to drag somebody, then HBO should get dragged. This is, to be honest, like, clearance usually doesn't even necessarily always go to a lawyer. A contract manager usually handles clearance. Clearance is simply like, this is the form. I send the form over and I send it to the organization and say like, hey, I'm going to use your painting in the background of this music video. I'm sure we've all seen it. When you watch a music video and you see like randomly something is blurred out in the back of the video and you're like, oh, what is that? Like, it's not a booty. Like, what is that? It is because they didn't get clearance in time. They didn't clear the rights to show whatever the intellectual property was. So they'll blur it out. It's a very simple process. You have to do it to air anything. Everyone does it. So the fact that AKA organization is alleging like HBO didn't clear anything, I am very surprised. So that is a huge issue on HBO's fault. Of course, if that's the case, go on, sue them. They should have cleared it. Like, that should have That's kind of silly. That's silly on HBO's end for not clearing it and causing commotion. Now, arguing and talking down to Amanda Seales is pointless and is also rude. Like, it's not her. It is a character. She should just cut the check and let's all move on. Because what I find very disheartening and, to be honest, kind of comical until I'm like, wait, this is a lot, is this. And I'm going to make it big so you can read it. So again, this is just one person's deleted tweet. There were many tweets that I saw on Twitter, but this one really took the cake. Imagine a person wearing your underwear that you normally wear, which there were a lot of things said here that I had questions about. It's something so personal to you that you cringe at the idea alone, right? What? Yeah, that's how I feel when non-members wear my org's letters for whatever reason. I I don't I don't know what to do with that statement. I don't I'm glad she deleted it for herself, but I am very concerned as to why that was the analogy. Anyway, someone else wrote, okay, so hold up. This girl is not a soror and had my shield on her body. That is the branding that she's talking about at Issa Rae Insecure. Please do not do that again. That's wildly disrespectful. Issa Rae is a very funny woman. She's a comedian. She does not care. So she wrote back, "Oh shit, let me tell HBO to delete one of the upcoming episodes then. Hold on." Now again, this has been going on for 5 years. This is the first time that I am seeing Twitter uproar about this. So for 5 years, nobody cared that Molly was an AKA. Nobody cared that Tiffany Dubois, these are the characters, was running around wearing these things. What changed in year 5 that people are mad? That would lead me to believe that certain people do not like Amanda Seales, which I think is unfortunate. I think she's hilarious. I think she's great. I do think there are some cultural differences, I do think, yes, I've said this a million times, as Caribbean people, we need to have to learn to have more empathy. And I'm saying wholly, it's not really me because I know how to do it. But wholly speaking, yes, diaspora wars continue and we need to all nip it in the bud and stop the nonsense. Yes, I say this all the time. If there is a flaw there, I would say that's a flaw. Sometimes the delivery, you gotta know your audience. Okay, fine. However, to make so much hullabaloo that yahoo.com and I'm just gonna say it, white media outlets are now wondering what we're all doing. It's a lot. It's really a lot. It's giving like, oh, what the blacks doing over there? Oh, they're arguing. They're arguing on the Twitter. Like, is this the hill we want to die on? I don't think so. I don't think so. All right. So to Sir Magnus, but it's a show, so I don't get the uproar, but also I'm late to life. Correct. I don't get it. I do get HBO running AKA their coins. Yes. Hello. You're using their brand. They pay for the trademark. They pay for all these things. Run on their money. You should have went through clearance. Yes, of course. Cut the check. Cut the check and stop the nonsense. Of course. Of course. But other than that, I'm not really understanding. So to Candida's point, listen, I am Bahamian and I support that Caribbean people need to be more empathetic. We do. As a people, I will wholeheartedly say that we do. My friends are half and half, like half Caribbean, half American. Gabriel is very American. He's from South Carolina. So I feel like I have learned. My best friend is from Texas. I have learned. But yes, I'm fine to chastise. We need to learn to be more empathetic. Outside of that criticism towards Amanda Seales, I don't really understand the criticism, to be honest. But okay. I wanted to show y'all one thing because we need to, thank you, Kyle. We need to have a laugh because I see there are lots of comments coming in. Also, there's more people here than usual, which is interesting. So I'm glad everybody hopefully is getting along. I didn't read all of them yet. So we're gonna go through the comments in a minute, but to break what may be tension or maybe I'm perceiving it, I'm gonna play a little Issa Rae clip because it's her show. And I think it's funny. So hold on, let me stop screen. I forgot to embed it, so I have to share it. Hold on. Okay, here we go. Do y'all see the Twitter? Yep, y'all see the Twitter. Okay. Can y'all hear it? Do y'all know what this is from? This is for like the people that used to OG watch YouTube. Do y'all know what this is? This is Awkward Black Girl, which, hold on, we're gonna play the whole thing. This was Issa's original. Oh, it's still going. Wait, stop. Okay. This was Issa Rae's original show that she had on YouTube, which then Insecure, I would say, is like a grown version of ABG. But ABG was great. I didn't watch it in college, but I watched it when I was in law school, and I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Also, I think it's showing like, listen, the creator of the show is like, it's all love and it's all like a joke. Like, just relax yourself. She made a fake sorority in ABG called the Gamma Rays, and it was nothing but like hysterical nonsense. And it was funny, to be honest. I think it's very, very much, it was funny, and I think people took it in jest. I don't know. And this is just an observation of human beings in general, because I've definitely been this way. I don't know if the panorama has made people very like kind of short patient. The people are lacking patience in the panorama. And I don't know if that's why people said, you know what? I'm just going to say wild things today. I'm going to latch onto this because I'm upset and I'm going to say whatever. But I think outside of saying yes, again, 100%, if HBO did not clear it, they need to cut the check. Of course, they should have cut the check from the beginning. Outside of that, I don't really see what the huge uproar is. The whole purpose of Insecure is to give an accurate representation of Black culture. AKA organization, along with the rest of Divine Nine, has a huge impact on Black American culture, is a part of Black American culture. I think it should be seen. I think it shows everyone in their wholeness and their best state. I think one of the beauties of Insecure, again, I'm biased to this. I already said this before. I already let you know my bias. Insecure is one of my favorite shows because I feel like it's so real. I'm just sitting there watching my friends on TV. That's how it feels. I feel like that's why people like it. I think if she were to have made like Gamma Ray in the show, it wouldn't have been the same. It would have been like, oh, whatever, like, why not make it as accurate as possible? 100%. Molly is the living embodiment of a few of my friends that work in Big Law. Act exactly the same way. Minus some of like the bad habits Molly has, but a lot of it. And we joke around about it and whatever, but like it is the accurateness that I think people wanted to see themselves represented. Now, in terms of legality, if you use someone's trademark without their permission, of course they can sue you. If you use somebody's trademark, of course you have to pay them. However, I think it's interesting if, this would probably get settled, to be honest, without going to court. HBO wouldn't fight it. They are using it, they have to pay for it. But I think it's interesting, the question, which HBO's attorneys are likely going to ask, like, this has been going on for 5 years. Why didn't you say something before? This is not, oh yeah, season 5, we decided, put her in this. She's been wearing it. Molly, again, has been drinking out of the AKA mug. They have been essentially using the trademark for so long, but that doesn't give you a right to do it. Also, HBO is not going to win any type of legal case against AKA, an organization that has existed for, I believe, 100 years. I think so. Oh, for 100 years. They're not going to win a trademark case against them about branding. They have impeccable branding. People know what it is. When you see pink and green, you know what it is. So I think that's very interesting. Galen Wright asked, can they get loyalties? I think they would negotiate what they want. To be honest, at this point, like it's become like a whole fiasco. 1908. Thank you. Thank you, Kayla Field. So this is the year that they were founded. So y'all know I'm bad at math, but that's over 100 years. I was like, I'm not going to do that math. Over 100 years. So they would basically, when you do clearances, usually you pay like an outright fee. But when you do them properly in the beginning. I say apparently I'm Picasso, all of a sudden you want my painting in the back of your music video, and I tell you, all right, you could do it, but I want $4,000. And you might tell me like, hey, the whole budget for my music video is $5,000. I'm like, I don't care, I want 4 of it. You probably would like tell me no, and then you would write it off. Or you might say, okay, what if I just give you $1,000 every year for 4 years? Like maybe. So like maybe they'll do royalties, but I think it's just easier to just get the check, especially the show is ending. So they'll probably just get like a single check. We'll probably hear nothing about it, to be honest. HBO might send out a statement and say, hey, we're on here. This is also a good point, which I didn't want to bring up, but isn't Amanda Seales half as well? Amanda Seales is half American. So is Issa Rae, which I think people forget that, which is why I think like she stands in like her Caribbean tone. Like, I don't care. I'm going to say it how I want. And I stand behind Caribbean people. Yes, we can be more empathetic, but yeah, she's half American. Her mother is Grenadian, and I think her mother raised her. So I would say her mannerisms are very Caribbean, but yes, she is half American. So, which I think is very interesting. So now let's go through the comments before we go further, and then before I give my very third world opinion about, why are we arguing about this? I understand the importance before people are like, Stephanie, you don't understand it. I understand the importance. I'm not saying that. I'm saying specifically for the show, if they had paid, which again, they should have paid for the rights, why should, you know, like, I don't understand somebody comparing this to wearing used underwear. That part I'm not going to get. Okay, so let's go through this. I'm nervous, but it's gonna be fine. Hey y'all, there's 300 people in here. There's 300 people in here, so hopefully you've liked the video. Okay. All right. So yes, yeah, D9 is only applicable to America. Despite people saying like, oh, it's a global organization. Listen, no. It is, but we the third world, like we not have that. When you go and you ask for oxtail and they're like, we not have that. We not have that. The concept is not there. The concept has never been ingrained into me as a little Jamaican kid. Like I didn't know what it was really like until college when it was like too late. So, all right. Issa's hilarious. Yes. I mean, Issa's trolling them, and I'm like, Lord have mercy. Let's continue to argue. Okay. So this is a good point, and I don't think, to be honest, I don't think I'm the space for that. But I think that's a conversation that needs to be had. I have a lot of friends that are in divide. Actually, Gabriel is Sigma, so I'm very like used to it. I think that's like a nuanced conversation that again is not for mixed company, which my channel is somewhat mixed company. I will be very honest. It is mostly black, I would say, mostly black and brown. But yeah. So to Jacqueline's question, I didn't read it out loud. I wonder when we can have the conversation about the us versus them conversation that goes on between the Divine Nine and people that aren't a part of the organizations. It is a conversation that needs to be had. I think this entire Twitter tirade, that's what I'm going to call it, highlighted that because I feel like a lot of people that are not a part of D9 were very much so like, what? People are dying. It was giving people are dying, Kim. Like, oh, okay. I understand like being mildly upset. Okay. I understand demanding HBO pay. Of course, 100%. I don't understand some of the tweets I saw, which were like very visceral and very much directed at Amanda Seales. No one said anything to a lot of mercy. Yvonne Orgy. No one has bothered Yvonne. No one asked Yvonne about that mug. No one said, Yvonne, girl, I see, you weren't, what's happening? No one said anything. So it very much became like a personal attack on one person who did not decide any of these decisions. So this is the very Jamaican accent. Creed. I mean, again, and I think it's good. I think this is a good place to kind of insert like my ideals a little bit since it's my corner of the internet. And because we talked about this before, there are very different cultural differences. And I feel like we get farther when we all understand each other. I'm speaking for Black people, when we all understand each other. And there is a sense of, in America, and this is all American people, sometimes don't see that America is not the center of the world. America, there's a lot of propaganda in America. America's the best thing since sliced bread. America, 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 whatever. And it creates these types of things which is why I said Caribbean people need to have more empathy. As a Caribbean person, when you see it, you don't understand it. It's like, oh, you're mad about this? But when you read through the history of what has happened to Black American people, it becomes more understandable in a little bit as like, oh, look at all these awful things that white people did to you in this country. Same thing happened in the Caribbean. However, what happened in the Caribbean? We have a country. It may not be the best thing. It may be raggedy sometimes, but it's ours. And that is the main difference, which is why I say Caribbean people should have more empathy and should have more empathy when we're having these conversations. However, you can still have empathy and say, something about this a little bit off. So, all right. Yes, exactly. And I think Issa herself is very anti-Greek establishment. It seems to be, which lots of people are. I mean, that's a separate conversation. Is it classist and elitist? I mean, we could talk about that as well. Yeah, I think sororities and fraternities in general, all of them. Yeah, it's very interesting. So HU educator, it's not the fact that they're playing the sorority members, it's the fact that they're wearing trademark letters for members only. Yes, correct. That's what people's issue is, which if it is cleared, then fine. If it's not clear, then it's the issue, in my opinion, in my non-divine nine, non-AKA opinion. So obviously people that have paid their dues and have become a member of these organizations will feel a certain way. Okay. All right. Well, not y'all causing chaotic commotion. I guess it's good that I don't watch the show because I would have dragged folks on Twitter. I'm all about Twitter violence. I mean, I mean, that's what it's giving. I'm like, we can't be fighting about this. Like, we need to fight other things. Like, if I were to tell you all the wild things that happened at my job today, oh, yeah, like this is not the hill to die on. This is really not the hill to die on. And again, people have different opinions of her, so I will be fair and show people's different opinions. Um, I I think I have seen some things in the past that I'm like, oh, that's not great. I would say current version of Amanda Seales, I personally resonate with. All right. To Candron's point, I was actually surprised when I saw the letters and I'm not Greek. When I saw them, I was like, oh wow, HBO paid. Interesting. I just assumed they all okay. So Taisha, they also showed the A of the cup. They also did their greeting. They could have also been paid and agreed for use in season one. That is a great point, Aisha. Aisha's 26. So maybe they paid and then didn't pay for like this particular clearance. I'm very curious. HBO, to be honest, I don't think they're going to say anything. I think they're trying to gauge and to see to be honest, this is how this works. When we, and I mean we Black people, complain about something, and it has to do with a white organization. Mind you, Insecure is a very Black show, which is why Insecure is a beautiful show to me and why I value Insecure. However, Insecure is put out by Home Box Office, by HBO. It's a white organization. When Black people make complaints, say, hey, this is insensitive. Hey, this is this. Or, hey, I didn't like this. Why did you do this? The people making those decisions are going to be mostly white corporate people that sit in office. So I think what they're waiting to see before they make a statement is, oh, are these people, only these women over here mad, or all of them that watch the show mad? And I think that is going to be interesting to play out because they still haven't said anything. So I'm waiting for them to just say something, which should be interesting. All right. And this is always going to be the point in terms of like user reaction or viewer reaction, but I don't get why they waited until 2021. That I don't understand. I mean, I don't want to cause commotion, but if you feel offended, I'm just curious, did you always feel offended or do you feel offended now? I'm curious, like in 5 years, what has changed? Because no one said anything in season one. No, I mean, season one, they also had less budget. So season 5 looks great. It's beautiful. Maybe people didn't notice. I don't see how they wouldn't notice. I knew that season one, what sorority they all belong. I mean, well, Amanda and Molly belong to. So, oh Lord. So to Kendron's point, and given the audience the letters weren't needed, I think that's true to a point because it's colors, it's color based. So like pink and green, is associated with AKA. With deltas, it's red and white. So people that are familiar know what colors go where. I guess that's a question we should ask the director or the showrunner. Their point that they made was, they wanted to look as authentic as possible. I think there's validity in that. Honestly, I think I'm more so just sad and like this is the end of an era, and here we are arguing about this. To be honest, and there are plenty of people that feel like this, Naya. After my time at college, I sought out all Greek orgs, including the Black ones. I have we're gonna have a story time one day about my experience with sorority and fraternity land because that was interesting. That was interesting. Okay, so Nurse Joe. Some AKs were hosting watch parties. I do believe they should cut a check, and if it's that horrible, just make her honorary and thank her for showing a positive light. They definitely, unquestionably, they need to cut the check. I think it's not my place to have that opinion. I was going to say something, never mind, about honorary. Because if you're going to make someone honorary, but the whole purpose is like you went through this process, then what's the purpose of honorary? Just saying. Like, I would never make someone an honorary lawyer. I'm like, why? I suffered 3 years, suffered the bar exam, did all these things. Like, honorary, go sit yourself in the back of the class and do the work. But, Oh, to Issa's point, she's so funny for posting this. Listen, Issa is the freaking best. Thank you, Grace. So don't forget to like the video. There are 300 of us in here and only 80 likes. Thank you, Grace. Okay, so the great one. A lot of the comments are silly. However, I get it. If you work hard to earn your letters and you hold it dear to your heart, then yeah, I get it. But yeah, the underwear analogy was stupid. The underwear analogy took the cake. I was like, oh, this is a lot. Like, this is very, very much a lot. To Tia's point, yes, most TV shows would make a sorority name and not use the real one if they didn't get permission for it. Correct. Which is why my assumption was, oh wow, they paid out. Okay, good. That makes sense. Which that's very interesting. Issa's annoyance with frat sororities and spoken words go way back, but it's just teasing. Exactly. Like I don't think, and also to be honest, it's not like I could understand it a little bit more. I think if Tiffany was portrayed in the character was a negative character, portrayed in a negative light, like some like vagabond running around serial killer, then like, oh, what is this? What is this? But she's not. Like the character is a wholesome character. It's probably the most wholesome out of all of them, if we're being honest. Besides when they accidentally made her eat an edible while she was pregnant, that was a mess. It's a great show. You should really watch it. um, Enter Blue Quartz, where people just don't like Amanda Seals, which is unfortunate. And I think that's really what the root of it is. People are latching onto that because, again, no one is saying anything to Yvonne Orji. All right. Okay. Let me cut the check and keep it moving. Exactly. And I am on this note with Caribou, and then this is actually a good segue. Actually, I'll read one more, and then this is like a good segue. Honestly, it's unfortunate that this is the buzz around the final season of Insecure. Exactly. The buzz should be we finally, after over a decade from Girlfriends, got a show. We Black women finally got a show. That should be the buzz. So I'm more so just disheartened that it's turned into like, oh, let's argue about things that only matter to certain people. Okay. If they cut the check, do they still have to blur images from this episode? They would probably retroactively, like apply whatever amount of money for like the clearance to like this episode, I would assume, because it would look so ugly. Or they probably, it's not like 30 seconds, or they would cut her out and that like they are sitting in a tea, like in the movie theater or something, I think, when it happens. So to Carl's point, this might be the first time I'll disagree. The pandemic has nothing to do with people's inability to recognize this as a show. I'm trying to be kind, you know? I don't know why I'm not understanding it, child. I'm not understanding it. Okay. I love how y'all, first of all, none of y'all could do math either because different people give different amount of years for how long they've been around. I feel better knowing that all of us are in this together, that the math is bad. All right. Listen, because Candron is a fellow attorney. Molly's absolutely big law all day long. Yes, her character to a T is people that work in big law, the top law firms, very bougie, very much workaholics, very much self-centered, very much tone deaf, but lovely people deep down under those things. All right. All right, Kiana. Well, all right. Now I'm nervous if I pin someone's comment if they're saying something, if they're supposed to be saying that, because I'm like, listen, but Kiana, I see your comment. I see you, sis. All right. Okay. Now, I do think the controversy may be a bit blown out of proportion, but I bet they paid Stanford to wear their insignia. Definitely. And they also, so Stanford apparently had a no filming rule. Even Reese Witherspoon tweeted and said for Legally Blonde, Stanford wouldn't let them film at Legally Blonde, so they filmed at Harvard instead. So Issa is a Stanford alum, so I guess Stanford like did her a favor for the finale as well. So I'm very much sure Stanford got their check cut, which is the point. Like if the AK organization is like, hey, you have to like run the check, that completely makes sense. It is the people like weaponizing, like let's attack Amanda Seals is kind of like silly. It is silly and it's hurtful. It seems to be very hurtful. All right. Okay, so let's go. And that would then be the question. So they played the white institution, not the black ones. I'm not sure. That would be my guess, but there's no way they step foot. You would have to get a filming permit. So there's no way they step foot on Stanford without Stanford getting a check or some clearance. And I don't really think Stanford's in the business of doing things for free. I wouldn't assume so. So yes. All right. Okay. It would just be for the episodes that they use their trademark in if they were to run them a check. So I'm not even sure. Somebody British with their math. My math is bad. Very bad. Okay. Which brings me, which I had a great segue, but then I kept reading. My sadness has to do with the fact that, oh, I'm not even clicking. Why don't y'all see this? Oh, because we're still on that. Hold on. Hold on. See what happened? What happens when I share too many things at once? So, my sadness about this whole commotion is that people people are finicky. People are generally finicky. Before this weekend or this and whenever this happened, people loved Insecure. It was the best thing since sliced bread. People still love Insecure. It is still the best thing since sliced bread. However, I think people are a little bit forgetful in that, sadly, in America, even though Black people make up 13, maybe 14% of the population, we make up little to no screen time. We get little to no shows. The only other Black female cast show that we have had before this is Girlfriends. Literally. And I mean, like on a big network that a lot of people got to see is Girlfriends. Yes, Sir Magnus. Yes, 13. Yes, Tony Childs. So the fact that it is almost like once a decade, almost 2 decades, we finally get a show that changes how Black women get to be seen, a show that allows Black women to see themselves. It's just disheartening to see that, okay, we're going to have commotion about this side thing. And that is my only pushback to people that feel like, oh, but my feelings, yes, living single is great. Living single, hello. Maxine, attorney at law. Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. It's my freaking favorite. People kind of take it for granted, I think. I think people are really taking for granted the fact that Issa even got to do a show. Let's talk about production value. If y'all remember, for those of you that watched season 1 of Insecure, great, funny, hilarious, loved it. The lighting wasn't the best. The production wasn't giving the millions of dollars they gave them now. You could clearly tell HBO was like, I guess. I don't know if this is going to work, but here, girl, try this. I know we signed the deal, but we'll give you more money as you go on. The way that even the B-roll in Insecure is so much, it's so much better, but high quality now shows we have finally gotten what we deserved. And I think people need to be reminded that we have very few shows, and it's very few shows that show the reality of different types of Black people. Most of the shows, which there's an article, speaking of Chelsea sent it to me the other day, and I will find it and I will link it because I think it's really good, that was talking about most, and it was written by, I believe she's from the South, but specifically a Black woman, like a formerly poor Black woman who went to like an Ivy League school. And the article was all about all of the shows that we watch, particularly Black shows, mostly have to do either their slavery narratives or they are about the hood, about hood violence, but they are not written by Black people that have actually come from the hood. They're not written by actual poor Black people. They're written by middle-class Black people. They're acted in by middle-class Black people who have, like, to be honest, some type of like glorification of the hood, some type of glorification of like, well, I didn't live there, but my cousin did. And like, when I went over there on the weekends, this is how it looked to me. And it's always that way. Girlfriends, living single, Insecure, it are some of the few shows that show Black people in different lights, show different types of Black people, show different things, which is why I love Insecure, because it's very honest. In the first episode, if you watch the first episode, there's a part where Issa walks into her reunion, and this is like not a huge spoiler, so it's fine, but small spoiler if you haven't watched it yet. She walks into her reunion and she sees her old friend, and they used to have a rap group, something called like something trap something trap, to which I remember who commented. One of them said to the other one, y'all have never been anywhere near the trap. And she was like, oh yeah, but my cousin though, like to make the joke. And I think that's what's so refreshing is the honesty. Like Issa Rae is a middle-class Black woman who makes middle-class Black TV. Hopefully it can be aspirational, but at least it can be reflective of her actual lived experience. And I think that's the beauty of the show. And I think that was the beauty of of Girlfriends for me was showing like real Black women, different areas of life. Like, hey, this is what it is. Mess, great. It's not all fabulous all the time. Like sometimes, child, Joan was the biggest hot mess express, but it was great. Trap Habit, thank you. I was like, is Trap something? Joan was the biggest unapologetic hot mess express. Joan inherited a house from her grandmother. How many Black people are inheriting house from their grandmother? Not many of us, but Joan did, and it was fine. It was fine because you got to see someone living in their truth, in their reality. And I think we have to appreciate that and also push for more of that. And yes, I'm not saying if you see something you don't like, you shouldn't say anything. No, you should say something. It's wrong that HBO allegedly did not pay them. That's wrong. They should pay them. Yes, no, I do not think like Boosie running around with whatever the hell he put on that one time and people went off on him. Yes, go off on them. But this is a TV show. To go off on an actual person about a character is a little bit wild. To go off on HBO, I think it would have been fine. I think it would have been fine if the organization had if all of the people that had to voice their concern, if they voiced their concern and added HBO, said, hey, what the hell is this? You pay for this? Hey, who approved this? Instead of being like Amanda Seals, panty nonsense. I'm not going to get over the panty things. Joan is like chaotic fun, chaotic optimistic fun. So that is, my little spiel on that. And some people are putting other shows. I didn't say all of them, but yes. So A Different World did effectively capture the HBCU experience though. So A Different World is actually going. I haven't watched all the Different World. I went to a PWI, but I haven't watched all of it. Yes, Joan is like my favorite mess. Joan was a big mess. She was, but like a lovable mess that just kept trying. And you're just like, all right, Joan girl, like we just gonna keep trying this. Parenthood. I don't think I watched that. Okay, so A Different World didn't use Real Organic, Whitley Pledge, Alpha Delta Rho colors, and pink and green. Oh, interesting. All right. Living Single is great. I remember seeing Maxine and I was like, okay, I could do this. And I was like, oh, Maxine is me. Whenever Maxine used to argue with what's his name? They ended up dating. He also like had locks, but they were like short. They always used to fight all the time, and they dated and they hated each other and they were like in love with each other. Maxine used to give me so much life. So Chelsea, the 90s had a good amount of Black shows, but most weren't all women ensemble shows. Now, yeah, which is a good point. Like I'm 1991. I'm 30 years old. Like this is so long ago. Kyle, yes, Kyle Barker. And he was like giving, he was William before there was William. Although I don't think Kyle was a Republican. William was a Republican in Girlfriends, which when I first watched it, I didn't realize that. And then watching it as an adult, I watched it when it came on Netflix, watched the whole thing, and made Gabriel watch the whole thing. I was like, wait, William is a Republican. This makes so much sense. This makes so much sense. But yeah. Hey, shout out to fellow UCF. Nice. I went to UCF. Look at that. Look at that. Shout out to UCF. But yeah, so I don't know. I think now is the time. I'm gonna say this, and I'm also gonna say I rarely watch the show because problematic and foolishness happens on the show. But I did watch this because it popped up on YouTube. The Breakfast Club had Issa Rae on their show. Now this is just a rant, so like we're just talking now. The Breakfast Club had Issa Rae on their show, and it was beautiful. It gave me so much joy. I watched it on YouTube this morning. It was great. And I rarely watch The Breakfast Club because, child, that's mess. But it was so nice. They bought her like flowers. They bought her ace of spades. They bought her champagne. They got her balloons. They missed one of the letters. That's fine. And it was nice to see somebody receive their flowers while they're at their height. And I think I was late. I think they filmed that episode before maybe Insecure aired, like episode 1. So before all this happened. But I think it's important to like give people their flowers. And I just, hopefully a mutual understanding and payment, money. Yes, money needs to be paid by HBO can help can be paid to AK, not help, sorry. needs to be paid, and then after that, like a mutual understanding of like, okay, can we enjoy the rest of the season, please? Because when's the next time we're getting another show? She is making a show, I think it's called Rap City, which is based in Miami, so I'm very excited. For the 305 girls, I'm very excited about this. But we'll see how it does. So I'm hoping we get more of these types of shows, but if we don't, I think we should appreciate Insecure while we have it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So to Chelsea's point, Issa Rae deserves, especially because she has two dark-skinned women leads, which we have never seen. Emphasis on never. We have talked about this many a time. Never, not ever happening. And to be honest, it is getting worse in television. We have talked about this. We have talked about this. So shout out to Issa Rae. Like, I think people, yes, voice your concern, focus your concern at HBO. But outside of that, I think we should celebrate our show, our collective gift for our culture and our people. Because to be honest, I'm gonna miss the show. Like to be honest, I'm gonna be so sad like when it's done. We're just rewatch it a bunch of times. But it's nice to see yourself. I think it's very nice to see yourself. And someone made a comment I thought was hilarious because we have to talk about black classism one of these days, child. It's wild in these streets. Suburban blacks doing ghetto tours. Look, I'm from Miami. I tell people all the time. I tell people I'm from Miami, they assume I'm from Liberty City. I tell them no, like, yes, my dad is a truck driver. He's working class. However, truck drivers make middle class salary. So yes, his pants may be dirty, and you may think like, who is that? But trust, no. And people assume that. Whether depending on how you fall on the side of this, Dave Chappelle, not going to get into that mess, but he did say something I thought was interesting once on this topic, and it's in the article that I'm going to send y'all, where he's from DC, and I'm not familiar with the neighborhoods in DC, but he said that people assumed that he was from the hood in DC because he's black, and he said he never corrected anybody. He said for years, he's let 20 years go by, he never corrected anybody because he thought it gave him a certain type of like credibility, a certain type of street credibility, which there's a lot to unpack there, but also it's problematic. It's problematic that the few movies we do see about hood life are just reenactments of nonsense. Moonlight is a great movie. Moonlight is actually showing you the beautiful black parts of Miami, is actually showing you Liberty City, is actually showing you Carol City, is great. Moonlight is one of my favorite movies. But most of this stuff is just poverty tourism nonsense. So yeah, there's that little rant. Just put that in there. Lynn to me was always like a cautionary tale. Like, oh my gosh, if I don't study in school, I'm just gonna end up like Lynn. I don't know who made shatas. Oh, who didn't one of the Marleys make shatas? I thought they did. I don't remember. All right. So we'll read some of these comments. Oh, I've kept y'all over. I didn't realize 8:30. To Sir Magnus, OMG, being the only black kid in musical theater. Woo! They found out I went to public school and they thought it was like a third world experience. America's a wild place, y'all. America is a wild, wild place. Yeah. Oh, some people brought up being Mary Jane. I thought it was good. And then to Music Lady Dee Dee's point, Mary Jane was really good. I thought they got lazy at the end of the series, though. Yeah, towards the end, like I couldn't like follow it, and I stopped. I don't think I watched the final season. I think the second to last season, I was like, wait, what is happening? But I really liked that show. It was actually very well done as well. Listen, Lynn was living her best life. Lynn was living her best life. Highly recommend Moonlight if you haven't seen Moonlight. It's beautifully shot. It's by Barry Jenkins, who is from Miami. I don't know where in Miami he's from. I don't remember if it's Liberty City or Carol City, but he's from like the inner city Miami. It's beautifully done. It's like such a love letter to Miami. So I'm excited to see rap shit. I'm excited to see like where they film and like what they do. Because like most suburban black people are somewhat hood adjacent. They have family that lives in the hood. So they go over there. I'm saying we go over there. So you're familiar, but that doesn't mean it's your story to tell. It doesn't mean that that's appropriate. It's not appropriate actually at all, which is why I like Barry Jenkins and what he does, because it's authentic. He's from Liberty City. Okay, yeah. Liberty City had a great conch salad. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, I think, I love that show. I wish we got another Lovecraft Country. There are some colorism issues in that show that need to be addressed. The premise of the show is beautiful. is very beautiful. I did not like how they did my girl, the sister. That irked my spirit. I thought she deserved a happy ending, and that irked my spirit that she didn't. That, and I won't ruin it for you if you haven't watched Lovecraft Country. That irked my spirit. Um, yes, Lynn is like the original millennial. Just talking shit now. All right. Queen Sugar is beautiful. I love Queen Sugar. Yes. All right. All right. Well, I think next is the wine. Yeah, we made it. This gives me a headache when I rewatch it back. Move off of it. But yeah. So I appreciate y'all. And what about Greenleaf? Oh gosh. Greenleaf reads like telenovela to me, soap opera, but I do watch it because it's hysterical and like a lot. It's just chaotic. It's very much giving like chaotic church Greenleaf to me. So I appreciate y'all and I will catch y'all. What wait, actually, because I was like, I owe you housekeeping again at the end because I forgot. Things coming up. We're gonna have our Patreon only live on Sunday for Rosé Sancerre, Sauvignon Blanc, and champagne. On Sunday, we are going to do Prince Andrew and Ghislaine and the lawsuit that has to do with a man named Epstein. Which again, we can't do that on YouTube because it will get taken down. And specifically, I want to talk about like the Crown because the Crown is actually footing the bill for Prince Andrew's lawsuit, which why you have taxpayers footing the bill for this is beyond me. So we are going to talk about that. And oh, Windfire, the YouTube event was great. I had so much fun. I'll talk to you all about that next time. It was like a dream come true. But yes, and my 100,000 paid off student loans that I've been procrastinating. I think I've been procrastinating because I don't want to accept that I've given 100,000 of my dollars because I didn't even know I could make $100,000. So I don't want to accept that I've given 100,000 of my dollars to Fedloan and Sally Mae. So I guess that's why I procrastinated because that video was definitely due the first of the month, and it's definitely a sponsored video. And I definitely had to tell the sponsor today, like, oh my bad, like I'm gonna do it. So that will come out tomorrow. So I have to film. And yeah. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you. I couldn't remember. Grace, so kindly, who Grace was in here earlier, runs the channel Grace Reports. It is a fun channel. She talks about reality TV. I had to pause. I was like, what is it called? Talk about reality TV. And so Grace and I, in tandem with doing, like, remember how someone suggested, two people suggested, actually, we do throwback lawsuits. So in tandem with doing like something throwback lawsuit, a little bit criminal related, and just downright funny, to be honest, which lawsuits are rarely just funny. This is funny. We are going to do, the first throwback is going to be Fire Festival. So I'm going to record it with Grace. She is in Paris. So she's a bit ahead. So we can't do 7 p.m. like a nighttime live. So we are going to record it earlier in the day. And then I'm going to premiere it, which I've never done a premiere. So let's hope I don't mess this up. But basically I'll premiere it and then you guys can log into the chat and then we can like talk while it goes live. So we're going to do that. So Grace and I are going to do that together. So that should be a lot of fun. And yes, to Kelly's point, let's talk about the Republic of Barbados soon come. Yes. Okay, I'll add that for Sunday. We'll talk about Barbados as well on Sunday. If you don't know, Barbados is throwing out Queen Elizabeth. Amen. Hallelujah. Guan, done with it. So we are doing that. Patreon has different tiers. So I tried to make it as affordable as possible. The first tier, which has access to all the videos, is $2. If you want to see any lives, the next tier is $5 and up. And it's only that way because people act a fool on the internet. Hi, Jonathan. People act a fool on the internet, and I just don't want someone paying $2 to just cause commotion. So that's that. But yeah. Yeah, come on, Cantron, come join the club. We're gonna have fun. It will be like our own little mini brunch. So brunch and lawsuits and the crown, which is my favorite thing to rant about. Why are there still monarchies in 2021? Also, why is my hair doing this? But it's too late now. Oh well. But yes, Saints and Sinners. I've never seen that one. Is it funny? Do I need to watch that one? Listen. I keep telling people truck drivers make a cute coin. They make a cute coin. Don't let their ducky pants fool you. Make a cute coin. My dad used to tell me when I was younger, this is the last thing. He thought, because people treat truck drivers very mean. So he thought I would be embarrassed of him. I've never been embarrassed of my dad day in my life. It's like my favorite person sometimes. And then sometimes he's very Caribbean. I love him. But he thought that he could tell me, how old are you in sixth grade? Like 12 years old. If I got bad grades, he would show up to my school like in his like dirty clothes. He's like, Stephanie, I'll show up to your school in my dirty clothes. And I was like, I don't care. I could never be embarrassed of you. So I had to figure out other ways. But that was funny. Yeah, don't listen. Listen, the truck drivers are doing well. Just saying. Just saying. All right. So, okay, let me answer this question really quick. Do you upload the lives to Patreon after for the more affordable tiers? Brookson over here with UK. Want to hear you drag them. Listen to the UK. The lives will only stay on Patreon. However, thank you to Kelly. Thank you to Jace. Thank you to everybody that's on the Discord for encouraging me. The Colonizer Exposed series on Thanksgiving Day, because I'm Aggie, will get posted to YouTube. The first chunk of it, and then certain things will only be on Patreon, but that will get exposed. So for Colonizer Exposed, so far we have America has 2 episodes, Belgium has 1, France has 2, France will get 1 more, Spain will have 2, and then good old England will have 3. So those will eventually get all posted, but on Thanksgiving Day, America will get posted because that's my present to the US to post that, yes, the US is a baby colonizer and one of the worst colonizers. So, yes. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all. It's a very elitist space. Yes. Listen, he never did. I was like one of those goody two shoe terrified children. So he pulled up on me once and I got an A minus. Can you believe that? The nerve of this man, the nerve. I was 13. I remember that. And I remember telling him in the car, I was like, Dad, you know, people are failing. And he goes, A minus is close enough. That man there, gotta love him. But yes, waiting till the beginning of the month. I don't understand how Patreon does. Yeah, I can't reset it. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. But yes, so I appreciate all of you. Sorry I kept you late. I know we usually let you go at 8:30 or 8 o'clock and I was late. So my bad. But if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to the video and let me know. I know we're not going to agree on this subject, but as long as everybody is respectful, I think that's totally fine. So I appreciate y'all. So the live is gonna be the second tier and up for the live. So it's more, I added some more. Every tier except for Rose will have the live. And only because if people see, they will cause commotion. I've caught on to these trolls. I've caught on to them. All right. Well, night. And I appreciate all of you that are, in London and in different time zone for staying up late with me. I appreciate it. I know Kelly is always up late randomly. Goodness. And Janice, thank you. I appreciate you. All right. All right. And on that note, Kelly said go to bed. So I'll catch all of you later. And I will see y'all tomorrow because I'm going to upload my student loan video. I will stop procrastinating. Have a good night. Oh, let me drink my wine. Get the little thing.